welcome to Keepers, sponsored by Sprint. This will be the very finest fantasy football show ever hosted by someone in a cardigan. Every week during the NFL season, I'll be dispensing fantasy football advice that is no worse than any other fantasy football advice you're getting from somewhere else for free. Today, a very special draft episode. Let's start out with shockers. Every week I'll highlight one player who far exceeded expectations and one who just defecated all over those nice new linens you put on the bed. What the hell, man? That was 800-count Egyptian cotton. Anyway, since we're still in the preseason, let's look at 2011, where the biggest shockers were Cam Newton and Jamaal Charles. Newton, of course, set the league on fire, throwing for 4,000 yards and rushing for 14 touchdowns, an all-time NFL record for quarterbacks. He also led the league in smiles, although most fantasy sites don't give points for that. Yet. On the other side of the coin was Jamaal Charles, a top 5 fantasy pick whose season ended in week 2, the most devastating fantasy injury since Tom Brady's knee exploded in week 1 back in 2008. Thanks a lot, Bernard Pollard. No, but seriously, thanks. Now you might be saying, hey, you can't blame a player for getting injured. Wrong! I can, and I did, and I'll do it again, especially if Andre Johnson and his doubtful hamstring show up every week again this year. Next up, the trading block. Every week during the season, I'll tell you which players you should ship off to some poor sucker before they fall off, and which ones you should weasel away from other owners before they get hot. But since we're in draft mode, let's take a look at some keepers you can move in the preseason. First up, sell high on Michael Vick. This is the only time all year he isn't going to be injured. Nope, I'm sorry, he got injured while I was saying that sentence. Damn it. For real though, aside from the battering he's gonna get from the rest of the NFC East, the Eagles also play the AFC North this year. You'll be lucky if Vick starts 12 games. Ship him off now. Sell high on Steven Jackson. Get rid of him now before the wheels fall off. Even if you discount the fact that he's 29 this season, the Rams have been so consistently bad that he's averaged just 5 touchdowns a season for the last 3 years. Woof. Pawn him off to the dumb guy in your league. Sell high on Rob Gronkowski. Hold on, hear me out. Please stop throwing things at your computer screen. Gronk is still an amazing tight end, and I'm still marveling at his incredible 2011. But you can't expect him to have a record-breaking season every year, and so I expect Jimmy Graham to be the #1 fantasy tight end this year. Buy low on Peyton Manning. The Broncos have excellent wideouts, a solid tight end, and great offensive line, and an all-time great who's looked more like his old self as the preseason's gone on. And he's available in the 5th round of fantasy drafts. Take him! For God's sakes, take him already! Buy low on Jamaal Charles. Yeah, I know, I hate his stupid knee too, and I'm dubious of any offense led by Matt Castle. But this is a top 5 talent from a year ago with an average draft position of 29. You can steal him mid to late 2nd round. Whew. Finally, buy low on Aaron Hernandez. His ADP is 53, which means you should be able to get him early in the 5th round. And can I tell you a crazy secret? I think he might have better numbers than Gronk this year. I have no way to back this crazy claim up, but it just seems like the kind of dick move Bill Belichick and Tom Brady would pull. Up next, reality check. I'm not going to give you fantasy advice every week and pretend like I'm always right. During the weekly reality check, I'll highlight a suggestion I made that didn't pan out. For example, last year I warned off fantasy players from drafting Cam Newton because even if he adapts to the NFL well, I don't trust a rookie quarterback to put up desirable fantasy numbers.
Duffed it.
Feel free to tweet at me whenever my advice goes wrong, or even if it goes right. I like to have an ego boost. And now it's time for Sprint Unlimited Upside, the can't-miss player who is guaranteed to save your fantasy team. The pre-draft Sprint Unlimited Upside is Aaron Rodgers. He's deadly accurate, he's durable, he's got an embarrassment of talented receivers, and he's more likely to score a rushing touchdown from 1 yard out than Cedric Benson. Draft him 4th overall, draft him first, sell your children, your internal organs for the right to own him. You will not be disappointed. And now here's Isaac with the weather report. Thank you, Isaac. And finally, it's time for Hire and Fire. During the season, I'll look at the waiver wire and tell you which unclaimed players are the best acquisitions. But today I want to focus on players you should shun in favor of teammates who offer better value. Let's start things off in Green Bay, where you should hire Greg Jennings and fire Jordy Nelson. Nelson has climbed up draft charts thanks to his 1,200 yards and 15 TDs last year. That's 300 more yards and 6 more scores than Jennings. However, Jennings is still Rodgers' top target. Expect Jennings to return as one of the NFL's receiving leaders while Nelson comes back down to earth. 15 scores on 67 catches and 18.6 yards per catch just isn't sustainable, even in Green Bay's offense. Next, hire David Wilson and fire Ahmad Bradshaw. Let someone else draft Bradshaw, who's good but somewhat injury prone. Instead, pick up the rookie Handcuff in the 12th or 13th round. Giants coach Tom Coughlin has always favored a two-back system, so Wilson will get plenty of touches, and even more if/when Bradshaw goes down. Also, hire Brandon LaFell and fire Steve Smith. Smith was in sharp decline before the arrival of Cam Newton in Carolina, and he's already been banged up in the preseason. I think last year was his swan song, and 2012 will see the ascension of Brandon LaFell, a #1 pick in 2010 who has a great mix of size and speed. Smith's ADP is presently around 30, while LaFell at 150 presents much better value. That concludes the Fantasy Draft Special of Keepers, sponsored by Sprint. Check out SB Nation's YouTube channel every Thursday for a new episode of Keepers. Your outdoor activity of the week? Take a walk with your family. Tell them you'll see them in 3 months.